and welcome to the 1 year anniversary of this podcast. I'm so excited because I freaking love this podcast, and the fact that a whole year has passed is kind of crazy. So, for this episode, I'm kind of doing a part two of my very first episode because, well, now I know it's not just my friends and family listening anymore. Plus, I wanted the 1 year episode to be a good and fun one. I'm just gonna tell you guys more about me, although you probably know some stuff from my episodes. But yeah, I'm super excited for this episode, and I was originally going to record it on Thursday and just not do an episode today, but I kind of forgot on Thursday, and then I forgot until today, and this is going to make my scripts last longer, so it gets me a week shorter of my goal, because if you guys don't know, I've mentioned this in one of my episodes, I've started typing my episodes instead of handwriting them to save time, because I had to skip at least 2 or 3 episodes because of the fact that I didn't have a script, and this has been running since May, and I'm still not caught up by any means. If I switch to handwriting right now, I would probably epically fail. So, yeah, I don't really know what I was saying, but yeah, okay, so this is an episode I'm super duper excited about. Yeah, I'm really happy to do this. I can't believe it's been a year already. I'm almost at 400 plays. Actually, I'm at 396 as of today. And I'm currently recording at almost 10 p.m. at night, which is kind of abnormal, but I don't really care because this episode's hopefully not going to be very long. It's kind of like a mini-sode, I guess, because I don't really have much. I have half as many words that I usually have, so that's going to be fun. And yeah, so let's start with some podcast updates. Obviously, it's been a year. Obviously, I almost have 400 plays, and what else? I think that's it. Instagram is still suspended. I changed the description of my podcast. I don't know if anyone's noticed, but I feel like the new one is a lot better. Because I felt like that's also a big thing. Because of my first episode being a total screw up. I felt like if I did a better description, that might sell it a little more. So yeah. And I'm also just hoping that the first episode isn't the episode that people choose to listen to when they first come to my podcast. But then again, that's the episode with the most plays, so I suppose my hopes are wrong, but there's not really anything I can do now, so we're gonna have this episode instead. Okay, so life updates. Let's see here. Not really anything. What happened the past week? Let's see here. Okay, so there was this event, and it's learning to juggle at my local library. Me, my dad, and my brother, we went last Thursday. That was really fun. I learned how to half juggle scarves. That was really cool. And then we did a juggling show at the end. That was also super fun. Yeah, and then Saturday was kind of a hellish day. I had a soccer clinic in the morning, and then there was this thing that my brother and dad went to while I had my soccer clinic. And then after that, we went home, and then my brother had a class for coding, and then my dad took him to that. And then after that, my brother had his birthday party, and I was stuck at the library for an extra half an hour or so, 45 minutes, because it was either that or I couldn't make my shift. And I was like, well, it looks like I'm staying there for an extra 45 minutes, because otherwise I would have no ride if I didn't go then. So that was fun. Not really. I just read my book the whole time, and that was great. Yeah, how wonderful. And let's see what else happened. And then after that, I had my volunteer shift, and then after that, me and my brother got left home alone because my mom and dad went to some yoga class thing. So that was great. They got home at 10 at night. That was wonderful. Me and my brother made mac and cheese though, so that was fun. We made the Stouffer's microwave mac and cheese thing. It was really good. My brother was convinced he was gonna hate it because it tasted like my definition of a cheese pasta, and he hates it for some reason. And I'm like, I don't really care. I'm making it, and you're gonna eat it. And he's like, whatever. He wouldn't eat it if he wasn't forced to, but whoop de doo. He says there's too much cheese, and I'm like, well, do you want it to be milk pasta then? Because I already reduced the amount of cheese in it by half. Anyway, I'm going off on a tangent. So yeah, that was great. And then, funny story. So at my soccer clinic, there was this. We were doing a scrimmage, basically a mini game for those of you who are completely unfamiliar with sports terms. And there was this guy, and he was a lot older than me. Everyone in that clinic is older than me, besides for this group of 11-year-old boys. and everyone else is older than me, right? So yeah, and also a lot taller, which is kind of great. Yeah. So we were doing like the game, like the scrimmage or whatever, and then we're doing a drill, and then me and this random guy are like paired up or whatever, because we're all like rotating. And then our coach is like, okay, you guys have to be more aggressive and like fight for the ball. And then we start doing that. And then I try like stabbing him with my shoulder in the stomach because he's like a foot taller than me, and that epically failed. And he tried like shoving me, kind of, but like I fell to the ground, and that was really funny. Me and my friend were like laughing about that afterwards. That went like wonderful. That was not fun. That was not fun at all. So yeah, that was great, and it was so hot, and I had like a headache afterward. But yeah, that's pretty much it that happened in the past week. Not a super exciting week. And then today my friend came over for like 4 hours because her mom was like an hour and 10 minutes late, but worked in our favor. So yay. Yeah, pretty much it. Pretty boring week. So yeah, let's see here. Before moving on, let's do one thing we're grateful for and one thing we're happy about, plus our book of the week. Okay, so one thing I'm grateful for, obviously this podcast. It's a 1 year anniversary episode. I think everyone knew I was gonna say that. And then one thing I'm happy about, I don't really know. What's one thing I'm happy about? There hasn't been much. Probably the fact that my mom said okay to my friend coming over, because I texted her on Friday and I was like, "You want to come over this weekend?" And then she texted me like this morning at like 12, like 1. Well, not this morning, this afternoon at like 1. And she came over at 2. So yeah, that was great. But my mom said okay, so I'm happy about that because we had fun, and I have like not hung out with any of my friends in over 2 weeks, I think. So yeah. Okay, so our book of the week is, I may or may not have mentioned this book on the podcast before, but Good Girl, Bad Blood, from the A Good Girl's Guide to Murder series by Holly Jackson. This series is trending like all over like BookTok or whatever, social media, but it's genuinely like such a good series. This is like probably my favorite book series. I can confidently say that. And also, they just turned it into a TV show. It came out last Thursday. So yeah, I was watching that. I'm on like the 3rd episode. There's 6 episodes total, and yeah, like the TV show is a bit more faster paced than the book, I would say. It's only about the first book though, not any of the others, but the book series is amazing, and I can't wait to watch the TV show a little more because basically, so my mom like doesn't want to see it because she hates like murder mysteries, and basically like the books I read, like the thriller books, they're always murder mysteries, and she hates that kind of stuff. So yeah, so now I have to watch it whenever my mom is like busy or not in the house, and whenever my brother isn't there either. So that's kind of hard, but it's worth it because the TV show is actually really good. So I definitely recommend you read the book series, and definitely recommend you check out the TV show. TV show. As far as I know, it's on Netflix. I don't think it's on any other platform, but yeah. So the first book, it's about like a case of this missing person case, and yeah, so, from 5 years ago. And then Pip chooses to do that for like her capstone project in her senior year, 5 years later, and she learned some things that no one ever knew, and like the police would never find out no matter what. So yeah, that's a really good book. It's about like the reopening of that case, and I think it's a really good book. And then the second, and that's also what the TV show is about, that case. And then the second book is about like someone she knows goes missing, and the police are not going to do anything about it because he's like 24 or something. She has no choice but to go back into it, and yeah. So it happened on like the same day of the memorial for like the girl that went missing in the first book, Andy Bell. So so she's like, it's more than a coincidence, and she finds some more of her town's dark secrets along the way. And like she has a podcast now, so like millions, hundreds of thousands of people are listening to this. So yeah, I've also read the 3rd book before. I'm actually like rereading the series again because it's just that good. So yeah, Holly Jackson also an amazing author. So there's other books by her. I've only read Good Girls Guide to Murder series, Killjoy, the reappearance of Rachel Price. I think I've mentioned that before. And then Five Survive, also a really good book. But yeah, she's an amazing author, so definitely recommend that you read any of her books. Okay, so that was a really long rambling about our book of the week. Moving along. So I searched up some questions that you would ask a podcast host, and I found some good ones. So those are just like the questions I'll be answering. Um, so my first thing is like, this one makes sense. This is just a question I came up with, but like where I'm from and like my roots. My parents are Indian and they came to the United States for my dad's work a few years after they got married, I think. Maybe a year and a half afterward I was born. So I was actually born in Maryland and then lived there for a few years, and then I moved to somewhere else in Maryland. I don't even know. I think I got these in the wrong order, but yeah. Then I went to Richmond and lived there for some time, and then I lived in Boston for a bit as well. It might have been Boston and then Richmond. I don't really know, not exactly sure. And then once I turned 5, or sometime after that, we moved to Alexandria and lived there for about 6 years. And then 3 days from now is actually gonna mark 3 years since I moved to Ashburn. So this is definitely gonna be the place we stay the longest because it's the first house like my family's ever owned. And the next time we move is either going to be when the house burns down from a failed cooking experiment of mine, or when either me and my brother go to college. So that's a bit on like my origins and the many places I was raised. That was fun. Okay, now for another good one. So I sort of described this in the original first episode, but since that episode was absolute crap, and this whole podcast was actually a boredom project, I wanted to revisit why I started this podcast and why I chose the name I chose. This podcast started as a boredom project last summer, so I didn't really have too much why beneath it. But it's been a year and 37 episodes, and I think I have a much clearer idea of what the true motivation beneath this podcast is and why I'm still doing it. Obviously, I do it because when soccer and school don't take up all my free time, I have absolutely nothing to do. So this is a passion project to keep away boredom. But I also started it because people tell me I have like good advice, good ideas. I also love to talk, so starting a podcast was kind of perfect for me. I wanted to share that advice and thoughts with a bunch more people than just my friends and family. So that's the real reason I started this podcast. And well, not the reason why I started it, but like the reason I kept going with it even a year from then. Um, okay, and as for the name, it combines the name of two podcasts I loved at the time and really explains what the podcast is about. Growing up is about becoming a slightly better version of yourself slowly, and that's literally the goal of my podcast, to help you guys become a better version of yourself day by day. That's the true reason beneath the podcast and its name. Okay, next one. Something I would give as advice to anyone starting a podcast for the first time. Okay, so what I really regret is like having a really bad first episode. My first episode might be the most listened to, but it's kind of the thing that makes your breakthrough podcast is. But I can't change that, so instead I'm gonna take that experience and give that out as advice. Have a really good, solid first episode. Make that one of your best episodes because that will likely be the episode people will listen to in order to really get an impression of your podcast. Oh wait, I just came up with another thing if you could do that I would do. Make a trailer for your podcast episode, because if you have like an idea for a first episode, but maybe it's not good enough to do like a full episode, if it's only a couple minutes, maybe shorten it. Maybe if it's like short enough, or actually you could just make that into a trailer, or you can shorten it down a bit more and just get the key points across and make a trailer, or you could do a trailer and a full first episode. I actually might make a trailer for this podcast now that I'm thinking about it. I don't really know. I might do that, but I don't really know what I would do in that. That's an idea too. Make a trailer for your podcast. Make that one really good too. Like that's the number one thing I regret about this podcast. But oh well. Another thing I would say is have a social media account. I couldn't start this podcast without a social media account because I was far too young for social media at the time of starting this podcast. But if you can, get some form of social media to attract listeners to your podcast. Another big regret of mine. So learn from my mistakes, people. Okay, so those are some of the big things out of the way. My bad. Now we're gonna get into the fun stuff. So my first fun question is what I would do if I woke up and I had $1 million in my bank account. So first, I'd probably donate like a good sum of that money to various charities. Homelessness is something I really care about. I think that every single person should be able to have a safe place that they can call home, that they can feel comfortable in and safe and loved in, without worrying about losing that safety, I guess, that comfort. It really upsets me to think that there are people who don't have that place to call their own home, that are starving on the streets because society is unfair. That's a terrible cause I really care about. So yeah, I donate some of the money to charity, and I would probably buy a bunch of clothes because I love buying clothes. And I would also probably put some towards like college expenses and other long term stuff, and maybe the rest of the money like to have invest it, like to have it for later. Oh, and buy some ice cream too. We can't forget about that. But yeah, I honestly have no clue what I would do with $1 million. Just some general ideas, like basic things. Next fun question. What do I see myself doing with my life? Absolutely no damn clue. In 7th grade, our counselor came and explained to us about like high school opportunities and colleges and that type of stuff. And ever since then, I've kind of been freaking out about the fact that a few people my age know what they want to do when they get out of college, and most besides that have a general idea, something they love that could be turned into a career. But I have no freaking idea what the heck I want to do with my life like 10, 15 years from now. My mom said I can do whatever I want as long as I do something in a respectable field, which means to her like science, math, or medical. I would kill too many people by going to a medical related career, and also even if I don't have to deal with like caring for people, doctor, nurse, etc., I'd probably still epically fail, and also I just hate that. So definitely not. But I've always thought like starting my own business could be fun, although ambitious. Business is like the only math relevant thing I would think of turning into a career, or maybe like becoming a dietitian or something to do with like food sciences, because I watched a TV show on that, and like the topic of how food and like how messed up it is these days and like how that affects us is like a topic that really interests me, and that could honestly be something I could turn into a career because there's like actually like a kind of creative aspect to science, and that's probably why I'm a lot better at it than math, despite being sorry, my nose is like getting blocked, but despite being right brained, which is like creative. But there's like a creative aspect to science, in my opinion. Don't really know how to explain it, but yeah, I don't know. I feel like doing something with the science of food, like food sciences, that's something that's always interested me. And then I don't know, maybe like architecture, like design. Like I want to design like buildings. That would be so cool. Like I love my tech ed class because we get to like build stuff. Well, like make a plan for building stuff and then building stuff. But I like to actually like making the plan part better. So like designing it and like making it go smoothly, that kind of stuff. Like architecture, that seems like something that would really like be interesting to me. Like because I like the math that goes into it. It's not pointless math. I don't really know how to explain it, but that might be something I see myself doing. I seriously have no idea, but just some ideas of stuff I don't really know. Um, so next one, am I an introvert or an extrovert? Easy question. Definitely an extrovert. I can talk to people I don't know very easily, despite having a constantly like unapproachable, almost scary, like resting facial expression. I make friends everywhere I go and can maintain them pretty easily. I am a person who thrives off of being in social situations, and that's where I get my energy from. I often feel sad or kind of like lonely-ish, if I go too long without being around my friends or sometimes my family, but yeah, easily an extrovert. So my zodiac sign, I'm a Sagittarius and definitely line up with those traits. My birthday is December 1st. So Sagittariuses love to go on like adventures, which is so me. They're also like too honest to the point of sometimes like hurting others. That's happened to me with my friends a bunch. But my close friends know not to take it too seriously because that's just me. Also know to click with people easily. All these traits and more really click with me and my personality, but yeah. My favorite movie. So I don't really have a favorite movie. I usually watch like random Netflix series that are like G-rated, so my brother can watch them. But if I had to choose, probably the movie Yesterday. So unexpectedly, this is a comedy movie. I love anything comedy. So this movie is about parents Allison and Carlos who are always saying no to their semi-chaotic kids. But some advice from a teacher in said kid's school sparks something in them that motivates them to give these kids a yes day, during which the parents say yes to everything for 24 hours with a few ground rules. Okay, so I don't want to like spoil anything, but my favorite part of this movie is probably like the windows down car wash bit. If you have no clue what I'm talking about, go watch the movie. As far as I know, it's only available on Netflix, but it was a great movie. So if you have Netflix, oh my gosh, if you have Netflix, definitely go watch it. Watch it, Jesus. We're not trying to watch the TV, okay? Um, a place I really want to visit in my life. Tie between Paris and London. Paris because I want to see like the Eiffel Tower and all the stuff there and see the Louvre. Seems basic, but it's something I really want to do. I called my best friend one time to like ask her about something, and then we ended up planning my 18th birthday in Paris. That was fun. But it's genuinely something I really want to do in my life. And London because it's supposed to be beautiful. I really want to see it with my mom because going to London was like her idea in the first place. I think we all were gonna actually like plan a trip to London, but I have no idea what happened to that. Probably not gonna happen for the next few years, but yeah. Okay, so all of those basic and light questions out of the way, I kind of want to do like some deep questions. First one being my biggest regret in life. Okay, so a lot of the regrets I have usually fade in a few days and don't become something I regret a while down the line. My biggest regret that stuck with me like to this day is not staying in touch with my old friends from Alexandria because that's the place I've lived longest, like to this date. But like I have no clue what happened. Like I stayed in touch with them for about a year after I moved, and then just like poof, school, soccer, new friends. That all just kind of like took over my life. And by the time I realized how long it's been since I got in touch with them, it was sort of like too late. So now it's just like awkward when I have to talk to them twice a year for the most random stuff. I really hate that like I didn't try harder to stay in touch with those friends, but there's kind of nothing I can do now because everyone's like moved and it's like really hard even virtually. There's time zone differences too at this point, so yeah, that's also hard, but it's probably one of the biggest regrets I have. My biggest fear. So I don't really know. My biggest fear would probably be any sort of water slide or roller coaster, any just like water vertical fall type thing. I mentioned on my last episode that I did every single water slide on my water park trip except for the one slide that was a part vertical drop. On my camp trip to Six Flags, didn't do any of the drop towers or any of the roller coasters that went upside down because I hate those vertical drops because of that feeling you get in your stomach. And it's just worse because of like my motion sickness problems. I'd either throw up or get a 3-day headache afterwards. So yeah, big note for me. What's one thing I would change about society if I could? So this is a really hard question to answer, but a notebook just fell on my desk. Please ignore that. But I think the one thing I would choose is all the negative body image stuff. So I have my friends and like my own mother sometimes struggle with like body image and not feeling pretty confident in like their own skin. I used to do that for a while when all anyone would focus on was like how underweight I was and how I should eat more, do this, do that, la di da di da. But ever since I had my moment and like decided to stop caring about what everyone else told me to do and do what I felt would work, my weight was fixed like absolute magic. So what everyone else thinks about you shouldn't have like what everyone else thinks about your body shouldn't affect you in the ways I see it affect people. Heck, even on social media, you see everyone you see is legit like model skinny with 20-inch waists and abs and all that. And because like our modern society revolves around technology and social media so much, that's what we're led to believe is normal. Not everyone can look like a freaking model. No one. We all have imperfections, even said models. And that's what makes us human. So I would say that society needs to get their crap together with body shaming people who don't live up to other people's unrealistic expectations of beauty because, as I mentioned before, what people think is usually what you can't is usually what you can't have. So we should change that and say beauty is acceptance. There's honestly nothing more pretty than a person who glows with an air of confidence in who they are, not caring what others think of them, and truly accepting themselves for who they are. So a random piece of advice that I would give to a stranger that I live by: don't ever let other people, especially people online that you don't even know to begin with, undermine your worth or make you feel like you're not good enough. Why specifically this? I know a lot of people my age will care about legit, like, people who don't even know the person say something negative or hateful about them for really stupid reasons. And the people that they are saying these things to, get like really hurt and start wondering constantly like whether they're truly worthy or are they lying to themselves. Well, major breakthrough. You're not lying to yourself. You're worthy in love, of confidence, and all the good things in the world. You are deserving of those things and so much more, regardless of what anyone, and I repeat, absolutely anyone thinks of you. And honestly, if you let people online or somewhere like, and these people don't even know the real you beneath the surface, then womp womp. They're the ones who really suck. And don't ever be the person to do this to other people because that's like the worst thing ever. Never ever let other people tell you what you're worth because only you get to decide that for yourself. Okay, so that was all I had to say for like this little mini-ish sode. Hope you guys enjoyed that. So to end our podcast episode today, I have a random quote for you guys from Oprah Winfrey that kind of just goes along with the last point of my episode. The quote goes, "You define your life. Don't let other people write your script." Bye guys. Rate, review, follow, and share this podcast. Drink some water, and I love you all.